Once, a prison guard accidentally overheard very disturbing rumors. Someone was planning a prison break. The guard watched all the footage from the surveillance cameras and discovered that 2 women had been behaving suspiciously. One of them was a former bodybuilder, muscular, with short hair and covered in tattoos. The other was quiet and reserved. She preferred to spend time on her own and sometimes cried in her cell. After watching the video several times, the guard figured out which woman was planning to escape. Can you do the same? It's the second prisoner. There's a file in her bun. She can use it to get through the metal bars. Mark comes up to the table. There are 3 apples, but only one of them is safe to eat. The other 2 are poisonous. Unfortunately, Mark can't skip breakfast. So, which apple should he eat? Look, this apple has a caterpillar in it. It means there's no poison in the fruit and it's safe to eat. These 3 women, Jessica, Mary, and Olivia, went shopping. 2 of them are pregnant and one is just trying to steal a watermelon. Can you tell which one is hiding a watermelon? It's Olivia. She's wearing heels. It's not the kind of shoes a pregnant woman would choose to wear. Nathan, a successful entrepreneur with a multi-million-dollar business, and his friend Jackson, a famous private detective, returned from a long-term trip abroad. They decided to stop by at Nathan's villa on the way to the city. When the men entered the house, though, they saw that everything more or less valuable had been taken away. The entire villa was a mess. "I've only been away for a month. What happened here?" exclaimed Nathan. Jackson took an apple from the dining room table and started to munch on it thoroughly. "The lock isn't broken. It means the person who took your stuff had the key." After a while, the detective asked Nathan to invite 3 people. Mia, Nathan's niece, told Jackson she hadn't visited her uncle's home. She had been having serious problems with her car for already 2 months. And the villa was too far away from the city to get there by public transport. Sarah, the maid, claimed that she had stopped by several weeks ago to bring some food and tidy up, but since then she hadn't been to the villa. Adam, the gardener, told the detective he had been on vacation and had just returned. He even offered to show his plane tickets to Jackson. The detective figured out immediately who was behind the mess. You have 8 seconds to figure it out. It was the maid. She said she brought food several weeks ago, but the apple Jackson grabbed from the table was perfectly fresh. Once, Ms. White heard someone crying. It was her little student, Abigail. The girl told the teacher her cookies had been disappearing from her locker. Someone had been taking them for already several weeks, but Abigail didn't know who. Ms. White decided to help the girl. They equipped the locker with a simple alarm that had to go off if someone who wasn't Abigail opened the door. They hid behind the corner and began waiting. In 10 minutes, they heard the alarm. When they reached the locker, it was already empty, and there was no one nearby. But Ms. White noticed somebody disappear behind the art room door. She rushed inside, but everything looked normal. And still, the teacher needed no more than a minute to understand who had been eating Abigail's cookies. Look at the picture of the art room carefully. Can you find out the answer within 8 seconds? It's the girl on the left. Her painting's black and white, but there are only various shades of blue on her palette. And maybe the cookie crumbs are a giveaway too. I don't know. One perfume company hires new staff. They must swear an oath of loyalty to the company if they want to get a job. 10 people are saying the words of the corporate oath simultaneously, but some of them are cheating. Help the directors figure out who these people are. This guy keeps his fingers crossed, and the man on the left is standing with his legs crossed. They won't be loyal to the company, so the director doesn't hire them. Two influential media moguls are having lunch at an expensive restaurant. They're discussing the merger of their companies. The transaction amount is several $billions. They're whispering since the terms of this deal are top secret, and they suspect that someone can hear them. And they're right. Some curious people are eavesdropping on the conversation between the two businessmen. Try to find them. The girl at the next table is reading a newspaper that is turned upside down. She's obviously trying to overhear what the billionaires are talking about. This guy over there is listening to music, but the headphone wire is not connected to anything. Another girl is sitting at the table in the corner with a cocktail, but instead of an umbrella, there's an antenna in her glass. She's recording the conversation. "Where are my employees?" a boss shouts. He's furious because 3 people haven't come to the office. He calls each of them to find out the reason. All 3 tell him they got ill. The boss doesn't believe them, so they have to arrive at the office. Mary is wearing a warm jacket, hat, and scarf. She sneezes, coughs, and looks sick. Lori is walking on crutches. Her leg is in a cast. Sometime later, Michael appears. He's got a hand injury, and now he can't type. The boss is sure that one of them is faking. Who is it? Mike's left arm is broken, but his phone is in his left pocket. He must have used his broken arm to put it there, which means he's pretending. Apparently, he just didn't want to come to work. Ice will melt if you heat it, but if you heat me, I'll become solid. What am I? I'm an egg. You buy this thing to eat, but you never eat it. What is it? It's a plate. Mia was going back home one evening. It was 11 p.m., and she had to cross a small dark park in front of her house. Suddenly, she heard footsteps behind. Someone grabbed her bag and ran away. The girl called the police, and they questioned 4 suspects. Jack said, "I was choosing an outfit for a party." Camilla was getting ready for her final exam at home. Andrew told the police he had been watching birds in the park. Nora was at her yoga class. After the interview, the police understood who was behind the robbery. Can you? It was Andrew. At 11 p.m., it's too dark to see birds.
Selma is a witch. One day, she returns home and finds out that the most powerful magic book from her library is missing. The thief left a note with the following letters. Can you guess what this message means? Salma should read this book from left to right. This way, the message reads like, "Your book is in a swamp cabin. Come at midnight and pick it up." Salma calls her sister Alma, and they go to the swamp cabin together. The house is empty, so they decide to explore the attic. Salma finds a dusty book and reads a couple of words out loud. Suddenly, Alma turns into a frog. Thankfully, every spell in this book has a canceling potion, but unfortunately, some parts of this book are written in weird language. Only one of these 3 potions will help. The trick is to find a recipe that contains the maximum number of words similar to the text on the left. Can you help Salma? Take a look at the first recipe. It has 2 matching words. The second recipe has 4 matches. and the third one has just one, so the guys need to use the second potion. Thankfully, Alma turns back into a human. The sisters keep on exploring the cabin. Can you spot which emoji is absent in this location? This one. What about this room? Can you sort the adjacent emoji out? The fourth emoji doesn't belong here. Suddenly, a wicked wizard arrives at the cabin and says,
Hello, Salma. I'm ready to return your book if you manage to solve my riddle. When do we see 2 but call 10 instead?
When we look at the clock and see the number 2, we say 10 minutes. The wicked wizard returns the book to Salma and says,
There are 3 ways out of the swamp, but only one of them is safe. There are venomous spiders crawling around the first route. A couple of werewolves are hanging out on the second route. And the third route is full of magic traps, hidden in unknown places. Good luck!
Which way is more or less safe? Salma and Alma should choose the second route. Take a look at the sky. It's a new moon, so the werewolves are not dangerous. The next day, Salma goes to the magic school. She meets a new student, Sebastian, and falls in love at first sight. Salma gets so nervous in his company that she can't even talk. She decides to put a love note into his backpack. Now her task is to remember which backpack belongs to Sebastian. Here's what she remembers for sure. If it's red, it doesn't have any buttons. If it's blue, it doesn't have a handle. Also, it's not standing next to the last backpack in line. Can you help Salma find Sebastian's backpack? We can exclude these red backpacks because they have buttons. Also, we can get rid of the blue backpack with a handle. And now, all we need to do is to sort out this backpack standing next to the last one in line. And voila! Sebastian's backpack is over here. Later that day, Sebastian finds Salma's note, but her message is encoded. Can you help him figure out the hidden meaning? Too good for me. Meanwhile, Salma returns from school and goes to take a bubble bath. Can you spot what's wrong in this bathroom? Take a closer look at her bathtub. There's a shark fin sticking out of the water. It's vacation time. Salma goes hiking in the woods, while Alma is having a barbecue party in the mountains. One of the sisters is in danger. Can you guess who just by looking at their pictures? Although Alma's tent is dirty and old, it's still pretty useful. Meanwhile, Alma is making a barbecue right next to a jar of gasoline, so she's in more danger. It starts raining. Salma decides to leave the forest and check into the local hotel. The manager says,
Welcome. We only have 4 empty rooms left. You can check them out and choose.
Can you help Salma make the best choice? The window in the first room is not safe. There are cracks in the glass. Something alive is moving under the bed sheets in the third room. And the fourth room has a haunted mirror. So, Salma should choose the second room. Salma walks around the hotel and comes across a spooky wedding ceremony. One of these people is a werewolf. Can you guess who? It's the groom. Take a closer look at his outfit. It's hiding a wolf tail. The hotel security gets an emergency alert. There is a woman with fake documents among the hotel guests. The guard finds 3 suspects. Can you spot whose passport is fake? No matter what person a country is from, no passport can have a photo with a sunny beach in the background. They should be solid, so Karen's documents are fake. Salma goes to the spa area of the hotel. Can you spot who's not from this planet? These 2 ladies seem completely fine, but there's a bandage on this lady's arm. It's unlikely that a human being would choose to go to a sauna if they had cuts or scratches. Someone broke an old cursed statue in the local museum. Anyone who comes into contact with the fragments of the statue gets a green rash. The manager invites Salma to investigate this mysterious case. She finds 4 suspects and questions them. Drake says, "Lady, I didn't even see the sculpture. I only came here to use the toilet." Morgana says, "I wanted to see this particular piece, but unfortunately, I arrived here too late. I didn't know about the curse, so I touched the fragments." Fiona says, "I didn't break the statue, but I stole 1 fragment to sell it. Then I noticed a rash and I threw it away." Xavier says, "I read about the curse, so I prefer to stay away from this artifact." Who's lying? It's okay for Morgana and Fiona to have a rash. They both touched the cursed sculpture. But why did Drake get a rash? Salma goes to a magic store to purchase some ingredients for her rituals. The sales lady offers a 50% discount if Salma cracks her riddle.
I never was there. I'm always to be. You have never ever seen me, nor ever you will. Yet I am the confidence of everyone. Who am I?
The correct answer is future. Salma invites a couple of friends for dinner. Someone suggests playing cards, but for some reason, Salma is facing bad luck all night. Can you guess why she's losing? There's a mirror behind Salma. The other players can see her cards. After the party, Salma notices that her antique gold candlesticks are missing. She visits 4 suspects at their homes and questions them. Lily says, "I was very tired after the party, so I took a taxi and went home. You can ask the driver. My hands were empty." Bella says, "I didn't steal your stuff, Salma. Everyone knows that I'm richer than you." Alma says, "Come on, you're my sister. I know how much those candlesticks mean to you." And Sebastian says, "Honestly, I didn't pay any attention to your things. I was looking at you all night." Who's the thief? Bella's dog is digging the ground in her backyard. Take a closer look and you'll notice Salma's candlestick sticking out of the ground. Busted!
Molly and her colleague Mike were going home after work late at night. Suddenly, they saw their boss, Alina, talking to bats. They snuck in closer and hid behind a bush. Alina looked like a vampire and laughed like a freak. Next morning, Molly and Mike decided to check whether Alina was a human or a monster. It was her birthday, so they brought her 2 bouquets of flowers. But Alina accepted only one of them. This was when the guys learned for sure that Alina was a real vampire. How did they know? They hid garlic in the second bouquet. Alina invited all her colleagues to her birthday party. Molly didn't want to come alone, so she uploaded a dating app, hoping to meet someone special.
Oh no!
Here are several pictures of nice guys, but one of them lives with his girlfriend. Can you tell who? It's this one. There's a pair of high heels and a dress in his closet. Alina asked Molly to arrive earlier to help her prepare for the party. Molly was cooking snacks in the kitchen when she heard a scream. She ran into Alina's room and saw her crying on the bed. Someone ruined her party dress while she was taking a shower. Molly interrogated 3 suspects. Kim, the cleaning lady, said, "It's not my job to take care of Alina's clothes. I was cleaning the house all day." Sam, the gardener, said, "I've been hanging string lights and decorating the garden for the party. I haven't even entered the house yet." And Alina's sister, Lily, said, "I didn't touch it. But anyways, this dress didn't suit Alina at all. Purple is my color. Everyone in this family knows that." So, who ruined the dress? Sam. Look, the string lights are still in the box. At the party, Molly saw Mike with a mysterious lady. The lady was wearing a hoodie and standing with her back turned to Molly. So Molly couldn't see her face. Mike and the lady hid from everyone in Alina's library. Later that night, Molly entered the library too, but it was empty. After checking the room, Molly knew for sure which of these 3 ladies was Mike's secret girlfriend. How did she know? The second lady is wearing only one earring. She lost the second one in Alina's library, and Molly found it on the carpet. Alina called the police early in the morning. Officers arrived at her place and questioned her. She said, "My husband and I had a romantic dinner last night, but at some point we had an argument. Then he felt sick. At least he said so, but I didn't believe him. He always tends to exaggerate things. So I slammed the door shut and left. I came back home in the morning and saw him unconscious on the floor. I don't know what happened to him." The officers immediately arrested Alina. Why? If the candles had been burning all night long, they would have burned out by now. Molly had a school friend. Her name was Sarah. One day, they went on a picnic with their families. Sarah's mother was very eccentric. She had pink hair and always wore glitter. And she took her pet iguana, Tom, everywhere she went. She also has 3 daughters. The oldest daughter's name was Monday, and her middle daughter was called Tuesday. Can you guess her youngest daughter's name? This is Sarah's mom, so it's pretty obvious that her youngest daughter's name is Sarah, right? Rick had a job interview at the hospital. He had been dreaming of becoming a vet all his life. Molly liked his resume, so she decided to test his logical thinking with one final riddle. She gave him this list of months and asked just one question. Which month comes next? Can you help Rick out? It's September. The months on this list go from those with the least number of letters to those with the most. It's time to groom the animals. Molly hired a group of talented groomers. 2 groomers can groom 2 animals in 2 hours. In this case, how many animals would 4 people groom in 4 hours? Your first instinct was probably to say 4 animals. But in fact, the correct answer is 8. And it makes sense, because 4 groomers would groom 4 animals in 2 hours. And in 4 hours, this number will double. I'm something people love or hate. I change people's appearances and thoughts. If a person takes care of themselves, I will go up even higher. I can fool some people. To others, I'm a mystery. Some people might want to try and hide me, but I will still show. No matter how hard people try, I will never go down. What am I? Have you guessed? The correct answer is age. One of these 3 people is left-handed. Can you guess who? It's the waiter. It's easier for lefties to hold a tray in their right hand and serve dishes and drinks with their left hand.
Carol was invited to a Halloween party in an abandoned house. Her friends asked if she was up for a challenge, and she said yes. Soon enough, she was locked inside a room. In this room, there was 1 door and 3 light switches next to it. Behind the door, there was an empty closet with nothing but a light bulb. Her task was to figure out which switch controlled the light bulb inside the closet. She could flip the switches however she wanted, but once she opened the door, she couldn't touch the switches anymore. Sometime later, she managed to get it right. How did Carol do it? Okay, let's go step by step. She flipped switch number 1, then waited for a few minutes. Then, she flipped it back to off and immediately flipped switch number 2. Then, she opened the door and checked the light. It was turned off. So she realized it wasn't switch number 2 that controlled the light. She decided to touch the bulb to test if it was hot or cold. If the bulb was cold, it would mean that switch number 3 controlled it. But the bulb was hot. So that meant that switch number 1 controlled it. Way to go, Carol! To get back to the party, Carol had to solve another riddle. There were 2 hourglasses in front of her. One hourglass measured 7 minutes, and the other measured 4 minutes. She needed to time 9 minutes using both hourglasses. How could she do it? First, she turned over both hourglasses at the same time. By the time the 4-minute hourglass was done, the other one still had 3 minutes left. Carol flipped the 4-minute hourglass over again. By the time the 7-minute hourglass was empty, there was 1 minute left on the other hourglass. And by the time the 4-minute hourglass emptied again, there was 1 minute's worth of sand in the bottom half of the 7-minute timer. She flipped it over again, so there was 1 minute's worth of sand in the top part of the hourglass. And when the 7-minute timer finally emptied again, 9 minutes had passed in total. Phew, that took some work. Someone stole a rare diamond from Mrs. Monica Fraser's house. Mrs. Fraser claimed she'd walked into her bedroom one morning and found that the glass box in her dressing room had been broken and the diamond had been gone. She called a detective, who soon arrived at her place and asked some questions. Based on his inquiries, he gathered 3 suspects. Mrs. Fraser's gardener, Steve, had the key to the house. Her cousin Sophia was staying with her for the week, and the cleaning lady Adeline cleaned the house every day. Steve said he was on holiday that week, so he wasn't anywhere near the house when it had happened. Sophia said she didn't even know her cousin had a diamond hidden in her house. And Adeline said that she'd been cleaning the house at around 10 p.m. the previous night. Everything had seemed all right. Who stole the jewelry? It was the cleaning lady. It seems that right after she broke the glass and stole the diamond, she also wiped off the pieces of glass left on the floor. On a cold winter day, Jason woke up after a medical procedure. He was lying in bed when the doctor walked into his room, saying there were 3 women outside claiming to be his wife. All 3 of them wanted to see Jason, but only his wife was allowed to do so. Look at the women. Which one do you think is telling the truth? The woman wearing a white shirt is the only one that has a ring on her left finger. She's the wife. It was a lazy Sunday morning, and John was having breakfast in the kitchen. Suddenly, he heard glass shattering. He walked into the living room and saw that someone had just broken one of his windows. He was mad and decided to go outside to see if he could find the culprit. There were only 3 people in the street, so he talked to each of them. The first was one of his neighbor's children. He was coming back from his football practice, holding a ball in his hands. He said he'd been going home at the time of the incident. The second person was Stephen, John's neighbor and longtime friend. He was carrying a toolbox. The man said he decided to come home to fix John's window. The last person was Julio, a mailman. He was riding his bike, throwing newspapers on people's front lawns. He said it had been hours since he'd passed John's house. Soon enough, John figured out who had done it. How? It was the mailman. If you look at the lawn, the newspaper is lying on the grass beneath the window. He threw the newspaper towards the mailbox, but missed it, and it hit John's window. Whoops. It was a stormy night. Kate and her boyfriend stayed up late watching a soap opera. In the middle of it, there was a weather forecast. The weather lady said it would keep raining for 2 more days, but in 72 hours, it'd be bright and sunny. Kate turned to her boyfriend and said that the weather lady was wrong, and the girl was right. Why? Because in 72 hours, it will also be nighttime, so it can't possibly be bright and sunny. It was Amelia's dream to go skydiving, but she was afraid of heights. One day, her friend took her to fulfill her dream. Amelia jumped from an airplane without a parachute and didn't get hurt. How is that possible? The plane wasn't flying, it was still on the ground. Duh. Dave, an archaeologist, traveled to Egypt on a very special mission. He spent days excavating ruins hidden under the sand, and the only thing he found was a coin marked 10 BCE. When he showed it to his colleagues, they told him the coin was a fake. Why? Well, because the designation BCE didn't appear until after the beginning of our era. It was raining when Mrs. Moore called the police. She said someone had just bumped into her car and driven away. When the police arrived, the only person next to the place of the incident was a man fixing his tire. Mrs. Moore said that was the car that had bumped into hers. However, the gentleman said that it couldn't be true because he'd been busy fixing his car the whole time. Can you tell who's lying? It's the guy fixing his car. The rain started just recently. If he'd been fixing his car this whole time, the ground underneath it would be dry. But look, it's wet. This means he's just arrived there and is actually the one responsible for the incident. 4 friends decided to meet up for coffee one afternoon. Someone asked which one of them was the oldest, and they answered with a riddle. Mia is 3 times older than Anna, but 3 years ago, Anna was a year younger than Claudia is now, and Olivia is twice as old as Anna. So can you put the girls into order by age? The correct order is Mia, Olivia, Anna, and Claudia. Here's a quick one. What belongs to you, but others use it more often? Your name. Outside a fancy palace, 2 sentinels were guarding the main gate. They were standing, looking in different directions, one towards the west and the other towards the east. At some point, one of the sentinels asked the other, "What are you smiling about?" How could he know that his colleague was smiling? Well, despite the fact that they were looking in different directions, they weren't standing back to back. They were facing each other. Kevin was away on business and had to spend the night in a hotel. After a full day of meetings, he returned to his room to get some rest. He went to bed but couldn't fall asleep. After tossing and turning in bed for hours, he called someone, didn't say a word, and then finally fell asleep. Who did Kevin call? And how could he finally fall asleep? He called the room next door, as his neighbor was snoring very loudly. The ringing woke the neighbor up, the snoring stopped, and Kevin managed to doze off. You've just come back from a long vacation. There, you bought a new suitcase to store all the new things you got, but you don't remember the code. Luckily, you left yourself a note on your cell phone to help you decipher the code to open the lock. 682. One digit is right and in its place. 614. One digit is right but in the wrong place. 206. 2 digits are right but both are in the wrong place. 768. All digits are wrong. 380. One digit is right, but in the wrong place. What's the 3-digit code? Zero, 4, 2. You're a fast and furious racer on a tropical island. You find a new motorbike online and call the salesman to arrange a test drive. Later that day, you arrive at the meeting point and see 2 guys with 2 identical motorbikes. One of them is the seller you spoke with, and the other one is a scammer who wants to sell you a stolen vehicle. Who's deceiving you? Think carefully and feel free to leave your answer in the comments. The salesman text message has the logo of his motorcycle store. The guy on the right has a baseball hat with the same logo. Therefore, he must be the store's official representative. Therefore, the guy on the left is a scammer. Congrats! The motorbike is now yours. You hit the road and you make your way across the pier. Suddenly you spot 3 people. Whom will you save first? Let us know in the comments. The teen is playing with a rattlesnake, which looks pretty dangerous. But luckily, it's not real, see? It has a barcode on the side, so it's just a toy. The lady is about to jump into the sea infested with sharks. But look carefully, she's just posing. Her boyfriend is filming a video. He's the only one who needs to be saved here because he's standing on rotten old wood. It's about to collapse. So he risks ending up swimming with sharks for real. You save the day and continue your ride. Oh no! The main road is closed for repairs. So you only have 3 options to return to your bungalow. The first route is the notorious mountain spiral road, known for its rock falls. The second road is flat, but it leads through a jungle inhabited by crocodiles. And the third road is half flooded because it lies through the old cursed swamp. Which way will you choose to stay alive? Don't forget to share your answer in the comments section below.
Take a closer look at the second route. The sign says Crocodile Farm. This means that the crocs are kept indoors under supervision, so this is the safest choice. You take the second route and decide to visit the crocodile farm. Let's see how eagle-eyed you are. Who's in danger here? Write it down in the comments faster than the other bright side detectives. This tourist has crossed the barrier. The tourist's name is Mimi. You help her get out of the barrier safely, but in the process, she scratches her leg. So you bring Mimi to the local hospital. Can you spot anything suspicious here? If you nailed it, please share your answer. Easy peasy. The windshield of this ambulance car is covered with white paint. You enter the building and face 3 surgeons in the lobby. Which doctor is dangerous? Don't let the imposter get away. Share your suspicions. The first doctor is sleeping, but maybe she's just tired after a long shift. The second lady doesn't wear any gloves, but it's not a crime. She's having a coffee break. Meanwhile, the third lady's nails are too long and fancy for a surgeon's work, and she brought an open medical syringe to the lobby, which is not very hygienic. The doctor takes Mimi away. You decide to have a walk around the hospital and face the following scene. 2 greatest enemies, Gia and Kai, wake up simultaneously in a hospital room. Both immediately grab the scissors and try to cut each other's IV drips. Who's more likely to survive? Think carefully and tell us your answer in the comments. Someone whose drip is cut farther away from the arm has a better chance of surviving. This way, more medicine will manage to get into the body, and our hero will win extra time before the doctors arrive. So it's likely going to be Gia. You're starving, so you go to the local food court. Too late, it's already closed. Oh look, this kiosk is still working. There are 3 burgers left to choose from, but only one of them is safe to eat. Hit the like button if you can spot any poisoned food right away. The first burger was cooked 5 days ago, according to its tag. No, thank you. The third one was prepared today, but there's a fly sitting on the meat. Flies can spread diseases. Only the second burger, which is packed in cling film, is a safe option. Does anyone have a better answer? Feel free to share. The next day, you go to the local beauty salon to get a haircut. Unluckily, one of these hairdressers is a maniac. Write your answer in the comments if you can guess who. It's the second hairdresser. The fire haircut technique is pretty normal these days, but he's also hiding an axe in his pocket, which is far from normal. Busted! Your haircut is done, and now it's time to chat with your buddies. They send you some selfies. Sally is getting ready to skydive. Bobby is taking a yoga class. And Caleb is riding an ATV through a desert. Who's least likely to survive? Give this video a thumbs up if you already know the answer. Although Bobby is twisted in an incredible position, his teacher is watching his back. Scorpions are no threat to Caleb unless he gets out of his vehicle. But take a look at Sally's picture. There's lightning in the sky. It's not safe to skydive in a thunderstorm. You're walking in the jungle and find 3 banana palms. One of them is poisonous. Can you guess which one? Okay, the first stack looks bad at first glance because its bananas have turned dark, but it doesn't mean that they're poisonous. The third palm has the fewest bananas, so probably many people were eager to eat them. But take a look under the second palm. Someone picked a banana, took a bite, and then just dropped it on the ground. That's suspicious. So, this is the dangerous palm. But if you have a different opinion, please let us know in the comments. In the evening, you go to the local carnival. 3 ladies want to dance with you, but unfortunately, only one of them is a safe partner. Can you guess who's dangerous? Think carefully, and don't forget to share your thoughts in the comments. Although the first lady is wearing a cute rabbit mask, she's a thief. She's sneaking a phone from a guy in the crowd. Take a closer look at the third lady. A broken glass bottle sticks out of her pocket. It's not very safe to dance around her. Thus, only the second lady is safe. There are 3 routes you can take. The first path is covered with hot coals. The second with gross worms and toads. The third one with beautiful roses. Which path would you choose? Be sure to let us know in the comments. Hot coals can burn through your shoes and rose thorns can scratch your skin, so the second path is the best option. These creatures are no threat to humans. These 2 chefs cook over an open fire. One of them is in serious danger. If you already know who, hurry up to be the first to share it in the comments. Well, take a closer look at the first chef. His scarf is already smoking. It's about to burst into flames. Fire alarm! The next day, you go for a walk on the beach. There's an open shower on the shore. You spot 3 guys washing off the sand after swimming in the sea. Whom will you save? The third guy is in danger. Take a look at the bottle he's using to wash his hair. It says bleach. Bad idea, buddy. Hit the like button if you nailed it.
It turns out that before leaving, your detective friend gave your contacts to all his acquaintances. And now, one of them needs your help. You arrive at his jewelry store. A client came there several hours ago, planning to buy an expensive diamond ring for his wife. But someone stole his wallet right in the store. The manager, he was the one to call you, asked all the visitors who were inside at that time to stay until your arrival. You look at all these people attentively. Soon you know who took the wallet. It's the man in the middle. He has a bandage on his right arm, but it's wrapped over the sleeve of his jacket, not hidden under it, like a real bandage would be. You knock on a sturdy brown door, while a woman with a bandage on her head stands next to you. A man opens the door. "Excuse me," you say. "A pot plant fell out of your window an hour ago and hit this woman on her head. I had to take her to the hospital. She's okay now, but you need to compensate this woman for the damage. May we come in?" The man turns pale, but lets you in. "It can't be true. Our windows were closed because we've just returned home. I literally entered my apartment 2 minutes before you came." You realize this man is lying and call the police. How did you figure it out? You spotted a pan with boiling water in the kitchen. If the man had indeed come home just a few minutes ago, the water wouldn't have had enough time to start boiling. Now, it's your friend who needs help. She owns a grocery store. A gust of wind blew a $100 bill out of her hands, and the money seems to have vanished into thin air. Your friend thinks it was one of the customers who took the bill, but no one wants to admit stealing the money. You ask all visitors to go to your friend's office when a woman speaks up. "It's incredible to be accused of theft. Here, you can check my bags right now." Please, just come with me to the office. We'll figure it out there, you say. After the woman refuses to follow you, you call the police. Why? The woman is standing on the $100 bill. If she follows you, everyone will see the money. The next morning, rainy and gloomy, you get your next case. To investigate it, you need to visit the office of a large international company. Rebecca, the girl who called you, works there. She says, "I've just come back from brunch and discovered that someone had knocked our HR manager out just an hour ago." You question the people who were in the office at that time. Laura is an applicant. She says she was a bit angry with the HR manager. He made her wait well past her appointment time. "And still," the girl says, "I would never hit another person. I'm also too weak to do it." Gary, who works in the marketing department, claims he hasn't seen the HR manager since he arrived at work. He was in a meeting from the very morning till lunchtime. Jacob from Research and Development tells you he rode his bike to a coffee shop to get his cappuccino. He's just come back. You immediately realize who hit the HR manager. It was Jacob. Both his bike and his clothes are dry and clean. How is that possible if it's raining outside? You leave Rebecca's office and hear your phone beeping. You see a text with an address you don't know. You drive there. A man meets you at the door of a large building. He's shaking. When you enter a large dark hall, you see 2 containers filled with transparent liquid. 2 women are floating inside. They look identical. "One of them is my wife, but I can't figure out which one, and I'm allowed to open only one container." You walk around the women and examine them. Then you point at one of them. "That's your wife. How did you figure it out?" The man's name is Mark. It's written on his biker jacket. His wife is the woman with the letter M tattooed on her arm. Your phone beeps again. You look at it and see a message. It's from your detective friend. There's just one word on the screen. "Help!" But that's already another story.
Sarah was in her hotel room when she heard a knock on the door. When she looked through the peephole, she saw a man standing outside. "Sorry for bothering you. I'm the hotel manager," he said. "Our database has crashed, and I need to recheck some information." Sarah said she would be back in a moment, got away from the door, and called the hotel security. She said there is a man trying to rob her. How did she know? Look at the man's name tag. It's a female name. He's not the real hotel manager. When Anna got to school, she noticed that her friend Joan was very upset. It was just the beginning of the day, but someone had already stolen her backpack. Joan left the classroom to go to the bathroom, and at that moment, someone must have got inside and stolen her things. Anna started her own investigation. Jenna from the robotics lab said she'd been fixing a robot that morning. Kate from the cheerleading squad had just begun her practice. And James said he'd spent 3 hours trying to solve a math problem and was now exhausted. Anna knew right away who had taken the backpack. Can you figure it out? It was James. The school day had just started. How could he have been there for 3 hours already? On a beautiful morning, Michael and Christina went on a hike. At some point, they saw a river they had to cross. Both of them needed to get to the other side. However, the boat could only make one trip back and forth and take one of them at a time. Still, both of them managed to get across. How? That's easy. They both went on a hike on the same day, but they weren't together, so they arrived at the river at the same time, but they were on the opposite banks. So after the boat took Christina to the other side of the river, Michael managed to get to the opposite bank too. At a party, there were 9 candies in a box. 9 people took 9 candies, but 1 candy was still in the box. How could that be possible? The last person took the candy that was still in the box. When the day after tomorrow becomes yesterday, then today will be as far from Sunday as the day it was today when the day before yesterday was tomorrow. Which day is it? It's Sunday. Look, the day after tomorrow becomes yesterday on Wednesday. The day before yesterday was tomorrow on Thursday. And Wednesday and Thursday are equally far from Sunday. Susanna was walking down the street when she saw a dog. It looked like the dog had just run away, so she picked it up and started searching for its owner. She walked into a co-working space. There were 3 people there. Susanna knew immediately who the owner was. How did she figure it out? Look at the guy in the middle. He's sitting on top of a dog leash. It was Brian's birthday, and he organized a game for his friends. He placed 2 cards, 1 yellow and 1 red, inside a box. The rule said that if a person picked the red card, they would win $7,000, but if they picked the yellow card, they would have to pay $700. Nobody knew that Brian had lied. He'd put 2 yellow cards inside the box instead of 1 red and 1 yellow. Brian's friend Sandra watched her friends lose the game one by one. But when it was Sandra's turn, she won $7,000. How? When it was her turn, she picked one of the yellow cards, not showing it to anyone. Then she picked the remaining card, which was also yellow, and showed it to her friends. Brian had to admit that the first card she'd drawn and hidden was red. Otherwise, all his friends would know he was a liar. Way to go, Sandra. Amy has to escape from a high-security room, but to do so, she has to solve a riddle. There are 2 strings in the room, and the only information she has is that each string takes exactly 1 hour to burn. She needs to time exactly 45 minutes with the help of the strings. How can she do it? Amy should light both ends of the first string and one end of the second string. In 30 minutes, the first string will burn completely since it'll burn twice faster with both ends on fire. Then, she should light the second end of the second string. At that time, the second string will have 30 minutes left to burn. But by lighting its other end, Amy will make it burn in 15 minutes. Voila! 45 minutes measured. On January 1st, Devin called the police to report a crime. He said he'd gone to his neighbor's New Year's Eve party the night before. And while he was away, someone broke into his house and stole his laptop and other valuables. When the police asked about the party, Devin said it had been great. There was good food and string lights were shining brightly and beautifully. Devin added that his neighbor could have been the one to steal his things. Maybe he snuck inside the house when Devin was at his place, having fun. The police officer went to interrogate Devin's neighbor, Tom. But as soon as Tom opened the door, the officer knew he wasn't guilty. Devin was lying. How did he understand this? Look at the string lights on the tree. They're missing 3 bulbs. It means they couldn't be working the night before. Devin is lying. Matthew was on an expedition to the South Pole. He had been exploring the area for days when a storm began. Looking for shelter, he managed to find 2 caves. In the first cave, there was a very hungry-looking polar bear. In the second cave, the air was filled with toxic gas. Which cave should he choose? The first cave. Polar bears don't live at the South Pole. Jerry has an apple tree. The number of apples on his tree doubles every week. 30 weeks later, the tree is completely covered in fruit. Can you guess how many weeks the tree will need to become covered in oranges? Oranges don't grow on apple trees, but if I asked you about apples, the answer would be 29 weeks, because, as we know, the number of apples doubles every week. Nobody has ever walked this way. What way is it? The Milky Way. Dave was held in a 150-foot-high tower of an ancient castle. In his cell, there was nothing other than a pair of scissors and a 75-foot-long rope. Despite this, when the guards came to check on him the next morning, they saw he had managed to escape. How did he do it? He cut the rope in the middle, but rather than cutting it across, he cut it along. Then, he tied both pieces of the rope together and safely got down to the ground. Genius, huh? On the outskirts of the town, there was a haunted house. A group of friends decided to check it out. They went there at night, but as soon as they got there, one of the friends, John, refused to go inside and tried to stop the others. But they just laughed at him and went inside, leaving him behind. There were several terrible crashing sounds coming from the house. And then everything went still. John never saw his friends again. How did John understand that there was something seriously wrong with the house? John was very attentive. He noticed that there were lots of footprints leading towards the house, but none going away. Rachel was in her office when security called her, saying there was a robber in the building and he was trying to escape. She ran to the elevators to get outside. But two elevators arrived at the same time. In each of them, there was a man that looked suspicious and could be the robber. How can Rachel understand which elevator is safe to take? The one that's going up. If the robber is trying to get out of the building, his elevator will be going down. So Rachel should take the one going up.
Holly went to the supermarket to buy a watermelon. She found these 4 watermelons, but only one of them is edible. Can you guess which one? The first watermelon is a hologram. See those flashing pixels? The tail of the second watermelon is a green snake, probably not the safest choice. And the fourth watermelon has little cracks. So, Holly should choose the third watermelon. One dark, cold night, Harry and Pam were chilling together in their country house. Harry was watching a movie while his wife Pam enjoyed her favorite mystery book. Suddenly, all electricity went out. Harry decided to go to bed, but Pam decided to finish the book. There was no artificial light around, but this fact didn't stop Pam. How is that possible? Pam was listening to an audiobook on her phone. It's big on Saturday and Sunday. It's small on Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday. It's absent on Monday and Friday. What are we talking about? It's the letter S. Bella and Ken took a flight to Europe to celebrate their honeymoon. It took them 2.5 hours to reach the destination. After spending 2 weeks together, they flew back home. However, it took 150 minutes this time, even though the plane flew at the same speed. Can you guess why? Turns out that 2.5 hours are exactly 150 minutes. Karen went camping in a jungle with her 3 best friends. They had a wonderful dinner and went to sleep. In the morning, Karen woke up first and found out that someone had eaten all the food from the bag. She questioned her friends. Josh said, "I was very tired and fell asleep as soon as my head touched the pillow. I don't know what happened." Leah said, I left the tent in the middle of the night to go to the toilet. The food was in the bag near the tree where we left it. Wendy said, I left the tent at night and spent some time stargazing. I ate just one chocolate, I swear. Who ate the food? It was the monkey who was hiding in the tree. See those footprints around the bag? They are definitely not human. Gerald is a college dean. Somebody stole his car this morning. Soon the police found it across the street. The thief hit a pole and escaped. The police interviewed 3 suspects. Holly said, I was busy having classes all morning. Then I went for a walk with my friends. Brian said, I was checking the test papers. Rob said, I skipped classes and spent the day at my girlfriend's studio. Can you guess who stole the car? It was Holly. Take a closer look inside the car. She lost one of her earrings. The combined age of Jenny and Jasmine is 49 years old. Jenny is twice as old as Jasmine was when Jenny was as old as Jasmine is now. How old are the sisters? Jenny is 28 and Jasmine is 21. Lisa likes grapes but not potatoes. She likes squash but not lettuce. Also, she likes peas but not onions. Following the same rule, will she like pumpkins or apples? Pumpkins, because Lisa only prefers things that grow on vines. Which of the following words don't belong to this group and why? Courts. All the other words are anagrams of each other. 2 people participated in a contest. They had to hold something. Finally, the jury announced the winner. It was a person with their hands and feet tied. How can this be possible? It's all simple. The contestants had to hold their breath, and the tied person managed to hold it the longest. Becky is thinking about a 7-letter word that we read very often. Letters 5, 6, and 7 grow every year. Letters 3 and 4 are the same. Letters 3, 2, and 5 cover over 70% of the world. What word is Becky thinking of? The correct answer is message. Our age grows every year, and the sea covers over 70% of the planet. Amy is looking at Nick, and Nick is looking at Mia. Amy is married, and Mia is not. Is a married person looking at the unmarried person? Will you go with a yes or a no? Or is this information insufficient? The correct answer is yes. 2 combinations are possible here. If Nick is married, Mia, who is unmarried, is looking at him, who is married. If Nick is unmarried, we still have Amy, who is married. In this case, she's looking at Nick, who is single, which meets the requirements too. 5 friends were eating apples. Amy finished before Bob, but after Kat. Dan finished before Eve, but after Bob. Can you figure out the exact order in which they finished the apples? Kat, Amy, Bob, Dan, and Eve. Eric's job is to guard a supermarket parking lot. One day, he was walking around the area as usual and noticed that someone had parked the car in the middle of the driveway. He questioned 4 women. "Ladies, who is the owner of this car?" All 4 women replied, "It's not my car." Eric took a closer look at the vehicle and figured out its owner right away. Can you guess which of these women is the owner of the car? It's the First Lady. She's the only person who's not wearing a bag. Her bag is in the car. Peter came home in the evening and found his car wrecked. His 3 roommates were there. Peter decided to find out who was guilty, so he questioned them. Josh replied, "I didn't touch your car. I was walking the dog." Mike said, "That wasn't me. I was playing football with my friend." And Will said, "Nothing special happened today. I was just hanging out with our neighbors." Can you spot the liar? It's Will. He said he'd visited the neighbors, but nobody lives in this abandoned house. Plus, his cheek looks like he was in a crash. Sophie was sleeping. Suddenly, a robber broke into her apartment. He locked Sophie in the bathroom and asked her to stay quiet. Then the robber began to collect cash and jewelry around the apartment. Suddenly, the phone started ringing. The robber told Sophie to pick up and talk without giving away the situation. Sophie picked up the phone. It was her husband. She said, "Oh, hi, darling. Is it an emergency, darling? Give me a call when you land. I'll cook your favorite meal that will help you relax after your business trip." Then she hung up. 10 minutes later, the police arrived at Sophie's house and caught the robber. Can you guess how the police learned about the robbery? Sophie played with the mute buttons. She pressed mute on specific parts of her conversation to make her husband only hear emergency, call, and help. And he called the police right away. Rick woke up in a weird basement and saw 3 doors. He has only one chance to escape. If he enters one of the doors, he won't be able to use them again. The first door leads to a room with high-voltage wires hanging above the wet floor. Behind the second door, there's a room filled with water and piranhas swimming in it. The third door leads to a space where flesh-melting acid rain is falling from the ceiling. Which door is more or less safe to enter? Rick should choose the first door. He'll be okay if he won't let his body come in contact with the wires and the wet floor at the same time. Jerry called his wife Robin and told her that he would be home by 7 o'clock. They didn't plan anything special for that evening, but when he arrived at 2 minutes past 7, Robin was furious. Why was she so angry? Any ideas? She thought her husband would come home after work by 7 p.m., but he appeared by 7:02 a.m. the next morning. When the day after tomorrow is yesterday, today will be as far from Wednesday as today was from Wednesday when the day before yesterday was tomorrow. What is the day after this day? Can you guess? It's Thursday. Harry and Barry are 2 magicians performing this evening in 2 nightclubs on the same street. But one of them is fake. Can you guess who? It's Barry. Take a closer look under the magician's tuxedo. On the right, you can see a restaurant employee badge with his name on it. He must be a waiter who came instead of the real magician. A monkey, a squirrel, and a bird are racing to the top of a coconut tree. Who will get the banana first, the monkey, the squirrel, or the bird? None of them, because bananas don't grow on coconut trees. Bonnie is cooking dinner. She has 3 stoves, a gas stove, a wood stove, and a coal stove, but only one match. What should she light first of all? The match! You are a bus driver. 9 people get on the bus, and 3 people get off. Then 2 more people get on, and another 1 gets off. Finally, 4 more people get on, and 2 get off again. How old is the bus driver? Whatever your age is, remember the question? You're the driver. 4 people are having dinner on a restaurant terrace. Jennifer's wearing 2 large gold bracelets and gold rings on each of her fingers. Martin's fiddling with a brand new phone and checking the time on his smartwatch. Connor has a tattoo on his hand and a dazzling gold watch on his wrist. Steve doesn't have any watches, rings, or bracelets, but he is wearing a smart suit. Only one of them is a millionaire. Can you guess who? It's Steve. He's got car keys in his pocket, and there's a brand new sports car parked nearby. Jennifer has old ripped shoes. All that gold's probably fake. Martin's phone is a knockoff, and Connor has old ripped shoes, just like Jennifer. Mark's teacher is great, but he's also kinda weird. He never lets Mark go home without solving some of his tricky riddles. Here's the first one. How many apples are there on a maple tree if apples grow 5 on a branch and there are 8 branches on the tree? Okay, this one's easy. Apples don't grow on maple trees. This next one's going to be harder. Get ready, said the teacher. Where are there cities with no houses, forests with no trees, and rivers without water? You've got only 7 seconds. Yeah, this one's easy too. On a map. Right, said the teacher. One more and I'll let you go. Who's the person everyone takes their hat off in front of? Mark knew the answer immediately, probably because he's a huge fan of Brightside Riddles. Can you guess it? It's a hairdresser, of course. Unless you want a really weird haircut, I guess. Poor Fanny lived with her stepmother and 3 wicked stepsisters. Her dream was to go to her favorite influencer's New Year's party, but her stepmother, Ruth, was pretty mean. She said Fanny could go only if she did everything Ruth asked. Ruth asked Fanny to bring her some water, but only gave her a colander to carry it in. How's Fanny gonna do it? Fanny needs to freeze some water and put it in the colander. Technically, it's still water. Time to choose the perfect dress. Fanny has 3 dresses, a blue one, a red one, and a green one. Which dress should Fanny wear? Find the best one in 10 seconds. Fanny should wear the red dress. That button on the blue dress is about to come off, and one of her stepsisters spilled paint on the green one. Which sister put paint on her dress? All 3 stepsisters are pretty mean. Time to investigate. Fanny snuck into their bedroom. 3 beds for 3 sisters. Bella, the oldest one, Stella, the middle sister, and Ella, the youngest one. Fanny only has a few seconds. Help her out. Can you figure out who ruined her dress? Stella's the culprit. There's a can of paint right under her bed. There's something all people in this world do at exactly the same speed. What is it? Aha! They get older. It flies without wings and cries without eyes. What is it? It's a cloud. What can you see with your eyes closed? A dream. Okay, enough with the easy short riddles. Let's go back to some harder ones. Jack and Jill set up a challenge. Whoever answers yes to every question wins. Jill was sneaky. She realized that there was one question nobody could say yes to. What question is that? The question is, are you sleeping? She waited until Jack fell asleep and then asked him the question. Whoa, those guys are intense. Emily and Mary are putting on their makeup, getting ready for a night out. They have really similar tastes. Their phones look the same, so do their lipsticks, clothes. So which one of them has the more expensive stuff? It's Mary. Take a closer look at Emily. Her dress kind of gives it away, since it's obviously a knockoff. When Mike was 25 years old, he tied a ribbon on a cherry tree in his grandfather's garden. 10 years later, he returned to see how much higher the ribbon was. If the tree grew by an inch each year, how much higher would the ribbon be? It wouldn't have changed position at all. Trees grow from the top up. The trunk just gets wider. A green apple costs $1, a red one costs $2, and a blue one costs $3. What apples and how many of them did Frank buy, if we know that he spent $3 using only 2 bills? Frank bought a green and a red one. He paid $1 bill for the green one and a $2 bill for the red one. Yeah, he could have grabbed the blue one and given the same 2 bills, but blue apples don't exist. Gotcha. 2 houses are on fire. One of them belongs to Jack. He's an accountant. The other one is a luxurious mansion that belongs to James, a pro basketball player. Which fire should the police put out first? Police don't put out fires. That's the fire department's job. 2 people came up to a large river. There was only one boat, and it was pretty old and shabby. The boat can carry only one person at a time, but both people got across the river. How come? One of the people was already on the other side of the river. Only one person needed a boat. 3 friends fell asleep under a tree in the countryside. While they were resting, someone passed by and painted mustaches on their faces. When the friends woke up, they started to laugh. But then, all of a sudden, they stopped. Why? At first, they saw the mustaches on their friends' faces and found it funny. But then, they realized their friends were laughing too. They had mustaches on their faces as well. Alice was walking through a dark forest. Suddenly, she saw an old cabin. Hey, wonder if a witch lives in there. She wanted to try her luck and snoop around, but the door was locked. On the gate, though, was a note with a secret code. Well, can you crack this code? The answer is magic. 3 stars before karma means you need to get rid of the first 3 letters. 2 stars after gift mean you need to get rid of the last 2 letters. For coat, you need to get rid of the last 3 letters. Aunt Tilda is a huge fan of cats. She lives in a 1-story house full of cat garden statues, a cat rug, cat wallpaper, cat cushions, and about 100 cat fridge magnets. Oh, and the 25 cats that live with her. What color cat is in the painting upstairs? She lives in a one-story house. There aren't any cat paintings upstairs. Ashton loves taking and making bets. Every time he meets his friends, he has a new one. Last Friday, he suggested a challenge. He said he could place a bottle in the middle of a room and easily crawl into it. This time, Ashton's friends were sure they'd win. It seemed impossible. Still, Ashton won the bet again. How did he do it? He said he could place a bottle in the room and crawl into it. So he placed a bottle in the middle of the room and crawled into the room. Sneaky. You have 2 ropes. If you burn each side of the rope, it will burn for 60 minutes. How can you measure 45 minutes if you have these 2 ropes and a box of matches? You need to burn one of the ropes from both sides. At the same time, you set fire on the second rope too, but from one side only. When the first rope burns down, the second rope will still have 30 minutes to go. Now, you need to set on fire the second end of the rope. It'll burn 2 times faster, and you'll burn both ropes in 45 minutes. You're in a photo gallery. After looking at the wall, you realize that one of the pictures doesn't belong. You see a raccoon, a llama, a football, and a balloon. Can you tell which is the odd one out? You have 7 seconds to guess. It's the llama. The other 3 objects have 2 double letters in their names, but the llama only has 1. Gabrielle cooked a lovely dinner for her friends. When everybody was at the table, she suddenly realized one of them didn't like the meal. Who was it? It was Mike. He secretly shared it with Gabrielle's dog. 3 plus 3 equals 8. Move just 2 matches to make this equation correct. You've only got 10 seconds. It's 9 minus 9 equals 0. Grab a match from the plus to turn the 3 into a 9, and 1 more match from the 8 to turn the other 3 into a 9. There are 5 apples in a basket and 5 people in the room. Each person takes an apple, but there's still only 1 apple in the basket. How come? The last person took both an apple and the basket. So there.
Matt buys a new house. In the basement, he discovers 3 signed boxes and a note. It says that one of the boxes contains $1 million. The 2 other boxes are empty, according to the note. Only one of the 3 messages written on the boxes is true. On the first box, it said that the cash is not there. The second box has a similar message: the cash is not here. And the third box says that the cash is in the second box. If you were Matt, which bag would you choose? Matt should choose the first bag, as we know only one of the clues is true. So the money should be in the first bag. Matt walks out of his house and goes to the garden. He pulls out his right hand. Suddenly, a bee lands on it. What's in Matt's eye? Beauty. Why? Because beauty is in the eye of the bee holder. In the garden, Matt takes 2 pictures. Can you spot 3 differences between them? Here they are. Matt returns home and figures out that someone has broken into his house, and the thief has just left. How did Matt figure this out? Someone turned on his electric stove and put a plastic bag on top. The plastic is only half melted, so the thief must have left a few seconds ago. Matt goes to his favorite vegan restaurant as usual on Fridays. He orders a slice of pizza, puts it on a table, and leaves for a couple of minutes to wash his hands. Then Matt comes back and finds out that his pizza is gone. He interrogates 3 customers nearby. Harold says, "I'm not hungry, so I didn't even look at your food. I came here for the sake of coffee." Bella says, "I was having a video call with my boyfriend. He lives in another country, so we go on virtual dates every Sunday. Distance is so exhausting." And Anna says, "I was taking pictures of my food, so I didn't look around. You can check them out if you don't believe me." After hearing about what they had to say, Matt knows for sure who's a liar. What about you? According to Bella, she goes on virtual dates every Sunday. But it's Friday. Liar! Matt's girlfriend Erica is visiting him in his lab. Suddenly, she faces 2 identical Matts. Can you help her figure out who's a clone? The guy on the right has a scar on his arm. Meanwhile, the clone doesn't have any because his skin is brand new. Matt goes to the mall and buys a bat and a ball for $1.10 in total. The bat costs $1 more than the ball. How much does the ball cost? Nope, the correct answer is not 10 cents. It's actually a little less. A ball costs 5 cents and the bat $1.05. And together they total $1.10. Someone robbed Matt's lab. The thief stole the cloning device and he's going to hand it over tonight. This is a great opportunity to catch the criminal. The police figure out the approximate place where to look for the device. They decide to question several people nearby. Greg says, "The garbage truck has just emptied the overhead trash cans."
Jeff says,
I'm in charge of these trash cans. I checked all the cans next to the yellow ones and found nothing interesting.
And Bill just points at all the trash cans that someone approached today. Can you help the police find the trash can with the stolen device? First of all, we need to calculate the top cans. And now let's check all the remaining trash cans which people were approaching. The next step is to remove those next to the yellow ones. And here it is, the trash can we've been looking for. After the robbery, Matt decides to lock his lab door with a password. There are 4 buttons with different images: orange, banana, apple, and tomato. Can you guess which button opens the door? The odd one out is the tomato because all the others are fruits, so it should open the door. A priceless crystal disappeared from the local science museum. The thief left no trace behind. After analyzing the museum's security cameras, Matt invites 3 suspects for an interrogation. The security guard says, "I only left my post once during lunchtime. I can swear that the crystal was still there when I came back." The museum curator says, "I spent the day guiding a tour of foreign scientists. They came to see the crystal at the beginning of the tour. It was still shining bright in its place." One of the visitors says, "I only popped in for a quick visit. I didn't even pass through the room where the crystal was kept." After hearing their stories, Matt knows for sure who the thief is. What about you? It was the visitor. He hid the crystal in his sleeve. Matt's brother Greg arrives at his house to eat together. He yells, Matt, the microwave is on, and it's already defrosting our dinner. Greg hears Matt's reply from the bathroom. Could you please check the microwave and let me know how much time is left? Greg grabs his phone and calls the police. He reports a dangerous situation involving his brother. How did he know? Greg is blind, so his brother would have asked him to look at the microwave because Matt knows that Greg can't see. This made Greg suspicious, and that's why he called the police. The next day, Matt wakes up in a secret abandoned lab. He wanders around and finds 3 doors leading to freedom, but each door is hiding an unpleasant surprise. Here's a creepy monster sitting in a cage behind the first door. It's very hungry and angry. There's a bunch of venomous snakes crawling behind the second door, and the lights are off, so Matt won't be able to see them. And behind the door, there's a huge fire. Which way is more or less safe? He should choose the first door. The monster is in a cage, so Matt can just pass by and escape. Matt manages to escape and enters the nearest gas station. He spots 3 odd things about this place right away. Can you see them too? The poster with the engine oil advertisement offers a 0% discount. The cashier has an octopus tentacle instead of hands. See this package of chips? It says they have the flavor of spiders. That's weird. The cashier agrees to help Matt get home if he manages to solve his riddle.
I came first on Earth, but second in heaven. I also come twice a week, but I'm found just once a year. I stay away for months, but you can find me in February. What am I? The correct answer is the letter E. Matt returns home and finds out that someone has left homemade cookies on the kitchen table. He examines all the doors and windows. He finds no signs of a break-in. Matt decides to question 3 suspects who have a key. His mother says, I spent all day with my yoga teacher, and my class ended 10 minutes ago, so I didn't have time for cookies. The plumber says, I fixed the kitchen sink in the morning and left for home. Why would I bring you any gifts? And Matt's girlfriend, Erica, says, I visited your house a couple of hours ago to drop off some shopping bags and left for the gym. I didn't see any cookies. Who's lying? The plumber. Take a closer look at the kitchen sink. It has no tap. Therefore, he lied. Matt is walking in the local restaurant and gets lost in a maze. He has only 15 seconds to get out before it starts raining. Can you help him find the right direction? Ready to see the answer? Here's the correct route.
Look at the picture attentively. Can you say who didn't help to build the doghouse? Yep, it's the man on the right. He's holding a brick, but the doghouse is made of wood. Sarah was a popular guitar player in a rock band. On Friday, the band was going to have a big gig. Sarah's bandmates were waiting for her, but the girl was very late. Eventually, she did show up, but it wasn't Sarah. It was her twin sister, Alice. She was envious of Sarah, so she locked her sister in a room, took her clothes and the guitar, and pretended to be a band member. But as soon as the musicians saw fake Sarah, they immediately knew she wasn't their bandmate. How did they understand? Look at how long the girl's nails are. But you need to have short nails to play the guitar. A man came to a fruit market to sell watermelons. After he sold half of them and half of a watermelon, he saw he had one watermelon left. How many watermelons did he bring to the market? He came there with 3 watermelons. Cheryl ran into the house, extremely worried. "I set off as soon as I heard the news," she told the police officer. "I was at my parents' house in another town. I left a week ago and was supposed to stay there for at least 10 more days. What's happened to my husband?" "Somebody hit Mr. Brown on the head. He was taken to a hospital, but he's going to be okay. I've been questioning the suspects." Mr. Brown's secretary said, "He sent me to his business partner earlier in the morning. Some important documents needed signatures." The cook said, "I haven't left the kitchen today. Mr. Brown wanted me to prepare a meal for the whole family." The housekeeper said, "I didn't hear anything. I was doing some household chores all day long. After that, I was so tired, I decided to take a nap." The detective realized who the culprit was in no time. Who was it? It was the cook. Mrs. Brown's wife was out of town. There was no need to cook a lot all day long. Olivia was running a marathon. Right before the finish line, she did her best and outran the person who was running in second place. The woman was happy. She was going to win. But in a few seconds, she got very disappointed. Why? Olivia was in second place. She was faster than the person in the second place, but not the first. Look at this image attentively. Can you guess which person is a ghost? Look at the woman on the right. She has no legs and is just floating through the air. Amanda loved dogs very much. One day, she was walking in the park and saw a lovely corgi. The dog was friendly, and Amanda even petted the animal. Soon, the pooch's owner appeared, and the girl asked him how old the dog was. "Well, in 2 years, Luna will be twice as old as she was 5 years ago." Amanda nodded and continued her walk. And did you understand how old the dog was? Luna is 12 years old. Liza worked as a teaching assistant at a college. That day, she had to look after a group of students who were writing an exam. Lisa knew some of them were going to cheat, and indeed, soon after the exam started, the girls spotted one person who was cheating. Who was it? It's the guy in the back of the classroom. He's got the answers written on his arm. Jacob wakes up locked in a basement. He has no idea how it happened or who is behind this. Near his bed, he finds a note. 2 + 2 = fish. 3 + 3 = 8. 7 + 7 = triangle. Explain this and you'll be free. Can you help Jacob get out of the basement? Stack the first number and the second one that is flipped backwards, and you'll get a fish, number 8, and a triangle. 2 guards were looking in different directions. One had to make sure there was no danger coming from the west. The other was turned toward the east. At one point, one of the guards asked the other, "Why are you smiling?" But how could he know his companion was smiling? The men were indeed looking in the opposite directions, but they weren't standing back to back. They were facing each other. Brian was walking down the stairs when his foot slipped and he tumbled. When the guy came to his senses, he discovered he was mostly unharmed, but he couldn't remember anything. Suddenly, 2 women entered the house. They looked exactly the same. When they found out what had happened, each of them started to claim Brian was her husband. Can you help the guy understand which one is his real wife? It's Rachel. She has a tattoo on the same arm as the girl in the wedding photo. Oliver was sailing his yacht when a storm started. The yacht sank in the middle of the ocean. After swimming for hours, the guy finally reached a deserted island. He saw several men there. They told Oliver they would keep him locked in one of the caves on the island. Oliver agreed, but asked them to grant him one last wish. When he told the men what this wish was, they set him free. Why? He said, "I want the smartest of you to lock me there. Oh, by the way, you get extra points if you caught my error in the description. An island with several men on it is not deserted." One of Kenneth's professors at university had an unconventional way of grading his students. On Wednesday, Kenneth and his friends had to write a test, but their professor gave each of them a picture. You need to figure out how many people there are in this image. Those of you who will come up with the correct answer won't need to write the test. Can you help Kenneth figure out the right number of people? There are 6 people in the picture. 5 of them are visitors, and one more person is looking through a peephole in the painting on the right. Emily was walking in the park when she saw 2 teenagers sitting on a bench. They were arguing who should pay for riding an electric scooter. Each of them claimed it was the other one who used the scooter. Emily didn't need much time to understand who had to pay. Can you figure it out too? Look at the footprints. The girl was the one to ride the electric scooter. Dennis is taking part in a competition. If his last answer is correct, he'll get a prize, an expensive watch. But first, he needs to figure out which of these 2 watches is real and which is just a toy. The watch on the left is a toy. Look at its minute hand. It's too long and won't be able to pass all the way around the watch face. Mr. and Mrs. Anderson wanted to celebrate their wedding anniversary. They were going to organize an extravagant party and invite hundreds of guests. But Mrs. Anderson was worried about all the expensive stuff they had at their villa. The couple decided to invite a detective to look after the guests. And indeed, in the middle of the party, the detective noticed a thief. Look at the people gathered in the garden and try to spot the criminal. It's the guy on the left. He's trying to steal a woman's bracelet. Look at the picture attentively. What is the missing number? It's 4. All these numbers indicate how many times the lines cross in each case. There are 100 books on a shelf. To count off 10 of them, you'll need 10 seconds. So, how much time will you spend counting off 70 books? Just 30 seconds. You need this time to count off 30 books, and the rest will make 70. One morning, Donna came to the office and found a box of chocolates on her desk. There was also a strange note. October 7th, May 3rd, August 1st, January 3rd. Can you help Donna understand who presented her the sweets? Her secret admirer is Ryan. Those are not dates. The number actually means the needed letter in the name of the month. Mark was going to an important business meeting. He was running a bit late, that's why he was driving fast. Unfortunately, the man got into a car accident. Both he and the other driver were okay, but the cars were badly damaged. Mark called the police. When they arrived, Mark explained the situation. "I was driving fast, but I wasn't breaking any rules. Suddenly, a car pulled out in front of me. I didn't have enough time to brake." The other driver exclaimed, "This whole accident is your fault. I was driving slowly, talking to my wife about our weekend plans. and then you appeared out of nowhere. The police officers immediately understood who was responsible for the accident. Do you know it? It was the other driver. He was alone in his car. It means he was talking to his wife on the phone, which is illegal. Detective Mitchell was following a bank robber. But after the criminal turned the corner, he seemed to vanish into thin air. After wandering around for a while, the detective came across a small park with a lake. Right on the shore, there were several marble statues. The man was about to pass by when something drew his attention. He realized where the criminal was. Can you figure it out? One of the statues is looking at its watch. It's the bank robber. James escaped from prison and ran to the countryside. Suddenly, on a small dark road, he saw a police car heading in his direction. James ran toward the car for some time, then jumped off the road and rushed into the woods. Why did he run toward the car first? James was in the middle of a bridge when he saw the car. He had to run toward the vehicle to get off of the bridge.
Both Harry and Terry's girlfriends went away on a business trip for the weekend. During the whole time, the couples were texting and sending each other pictures. On Sunday morning, the girls asked their boyfriends to send them their selfies. Harry sent a selfie where he was smiling in the kitchen. Terry sent a selfie of himself in the bathroom. One of the girlfriends knew immediately that her boyfriend was cheating. Who was it, and how did the girlfriend know? It was Harry. Look at that lipstick mark on the glass on top of the kitchen counter. Becca and Tom are a couple. One of them rented a scooter from Brown Scooters and now needs to pay for the ride. A worker from the scooter company comes to charge the couple $15 that they owe. Becca and Tom start arguing over who should pay for the scooter. Becca says that Tom was the one who wrote it, so he should pay for it. But Tom says that it was Becca who wrote it, and she should pay for it. Who is lying? Becca is lying. Take a look at Becca's footprints. They lead directly to the scooter. There were 3 thefts at a local supermarket. One in February, one in May, and one in July. Thankfully, the security camera recorded the footage of those 3 days. The store manager called Detective Moore, asking to solve the crime. The detective took a close look at the footage and noticed one detail that helped him solve the mystery. Take a look at the images and try to figure out who the thief is. In all 3 videos, there is a pregnant lady. In the video from February, she looks about 7 months pregnant. But in the other videos, from May and July, her belly looks exactly the same. This means that she is the thief. She must have been faking her pregnancy all along. Dr. O'Brien invented the time machine and traveled all the way back to prehistoric times. Take a look at this picture and see if you can spot Dr. O'Brien amongst other prehistoric people carrying out their activities. That's easy. It's the guy with the flashlight. He must have taken one with him when he set off on his journey. Katie was running late for class. When she finally arrived at the classroom, she accidentally dropped the pile of textbooks she was holding. It produced a loud thump, making the entire classroom stare at her. At that moment, Katie drew the attention of 20 eyes. How many people were in the classroom that day? There were 11 people. 10 people have a pair of eyes each, right? Add Katie to the equation. That makes a total of 11 people in the room. Police officer Dave received a call late at night. A famous chemist went missing from his lab. After searching the lab thoroughly, Dave found a note with ransom numbers scribbled on it. The note read 26 3 58, 28 27 57 16. Based on the note, Dave managed to find the scientist and arrest the criminals who had taken him. What was written in the encrypted note, and how did Dave understand it? The chemist is smart. Each number in the note corresponds to an element in the periodic table. So the element that corresponds to 26 is Fe, iron. Number 3 is Li, lithium. And 58 is Ce, cerium. If you use this logic, you can figure out that the first line spells Felice, and the numbers in the second line stand for Nicholas. After figuring out the names, Dave tracked the men down and arrested them. Helena finally got herself a new guitar. She wanted to play it right away, but she had to go to school. She locked the instrument inside her room and left. When she got home in the evening, the guitar was gone. She knew it must have been one of her family members, as they always played pranks on one another. So she questioned each one of them. Helena's mother said she hadn't even seen the guitar the girl had bought. Her dad said that he had seen it when he passed by Helena's room, but he swore he hadn't done anything to it. Helena's brother said he hadn't gone upstairs the whole day, so he hadn't seen the guitar either. Helena solved the mystery instantly. Can you figure it out? Her dad was lying. He said he'd seen the guitar when passing by the girl's room, but that's impossible. Helena locked the door when she left. A bank was robbed by masked strangers. One of the robbers asked the teller to give them all the money hidden in the bank safe. But suddenly, the teller's phone rang. It was his mother. The robber told the guy to pick up the phone to avoid arousing suspicion. On the phone, the teller asked, "Is there an emergency, Mother? Call me when you get home and I'll help you with the dinner." Then he hung up. 5 minutes later, while the robbers were still in the bank, the police arrived at the crime scene. How did the police know about the robbery? The teller was smart. While he was speaking on the phone with his mother, he pressed the mute button while he was saying some of the words. So what his mother heard on the other end of the line was, "Emergency, Mother, call help." On the outskirts of a town, there was a haunted house. A group of friends decided to check it out. They went there at night, but as soon as they got there, one of the friends refused to go inside and tried to stop the others. But they just laughed and left him behind. There were terrible crashing sounds coming from the house, and then everything went still. John never saw his friends again. How did John understand that there was something seriously wrong with the house? John was very attentive. He noticed that there was lots of footprints leading towards the house, but none going away. A famous hotel has 7 floors. 5 people are staying on the first floor. 8 people are staying on the second floor. 11 people are staying on the third floor, and so on. Each next floor has 3 more people living there than the previous one. Which floor calls the elevator most often? The first floor. Any person staying on a floor other than the first has to call the elevator to reach their destination. In a small town, 3 teachers asked for sick leave on the same day. Janet said she had got into a car accident and broke her leg. Now she was having difficulty walking with the cast and all. Emma complained she'd had a very unfortunate workout and injured her neck. She couldn't even turn her head. And Tina said that she'd fallen from her bike and hurt her arm. One of the teachers is lying. Can you tell who? It's Janet. She claims she's having difficulty walking with the cast, but she doesn't even have crutches. You wake up and find yourself trapped in a room with 4 doors in front of you. You hear a monster coming, so you check the door quickly. The leftmost door has a sign on it saying, "Take the door on the right to break free." The second door also has a sign saying, "It's the right door." The third door has a sign, "Freedom is just right in front of you." And the last door has a sign saying, "Don't trust the signs." Which door should you choose? Well, there's a little bit of wordplay here. Let's see why. The first door says to take the door on the right. The second one says it's the right door. Not the correct door, but the door on the right. The third door says, "Freedom is just right in front of you." That just doesn't make any sense, does it? You can interpret this statement as pointing at the door just on your right. Well, that's it. It's the last door. It does tell you not to trust the other signs, but it doesn't tell you that they're false, does it?